Welcome back to an episode of Let's Build Twitter. We're in episode 114. As always, if you guys do want access to the private repository, there's a link down in the description below that walks you through exactly how to gain access to that, as well as if you want to hang out with me as I tinker live with the code. There's also my live streaming schedule down there as well. Let's hop into what we work on today. In this episode, we finish up the styling for the component that holds the images for the post. Then we refactor our code to make it capable of sending the image files back to the backend when we create a post with media. As always, I'm Ethan Encoder, and let's hop straight into development. Alright y'all, welcome back. I have no idea how this is going to end up breaking down. I have quite a bit to do, but they don't really group together that well. Last episode we got it so that we can actually grab different images, like so. Let me grab a couple images. We can click on edit, we can close out of the edit, we can click on tag people, we can close out of it. We can even, well, I guess we didn't set up done. I guess we need to look at that, I guess. And this one works as well. We can close out of images, so on and so forth. Now we have an issue here. We still have some styling we have to do here. And we have a couple other small things to tweak and some refactoring to be able to actually post the images to the backend. So let's go ahead and hop into our code and take a look at how we're going to do that. I don't know how many episodes this recording is going to be. I'm probably just going to try to record the rest of this and I'll split it up as I see fit, unlike I normally do. But the first thing I do want to do is I want to go ahead and whenever we click done, on click, I forgot to add this. Let's go ahead and add, for some reason I didn't, I guess Twitter doesn't do that. Yeah, I guess there's a reason why I did that. Okay, well, I guess it'll stay like that. Let's close out of a couple things here. I don't think we need that. We want to go into our feed post creator images.css, and we have a few things that we want to go ahead and work on. So at this point, I'm pretty sure container, odd, even, all that stuff's good to go. We need to go ahead and set up feed post creator, and then this will be images option. So this is kind of like that, or options. It's kind of like that section at the bottom. So width will be 100%. Our height will be fit content. It's going to have a display of flex. It will have a justify content of flex start. We'll have an align items in the center, and we're going to have a column gap of 64 px. We're going to have a padding on the left of this component. Padding left, like a type, will be 6 px. Then we just set up the individual options. So .feed post creator images options. So this will be the individual option. Width would just be fit content. Height would just be fit content. This could probably just be auto, honestly, but margin will be 0. Padding will be 0. We're going to have a display of flex. We're going to have, after flex, we're going to have justify content in the center, align items in the center, and then we're going to have a padding on the top of 8 px. We're going to have a padding on the bottom of 8 px, and I know there's a trick you can use. I probably should use it, but it is what it is. Font size of 13 px. 13 px. A color of $5364771, and finally a font weight. Font weight of 400. And finally, this is also going to have a hover effect. So let's copy this and paste it and hover. And the hover effect will be a cursor pointer. We're also going to have a text decoration of underline. So if we save this and hop back into our code or our page, you can see these are kind of in line now. They underline like Twitter does. If we wanted to, we probably could add a little bit of margin there, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty close on Twitter, so I'm happy with that. The next thing I'm going to do that's kind of like utility is whenever we click on an individual image, it's actually supposed to pop up the edit modal. So whenever we click on this div with the image in it, what we're going to want to go ahead and do is we do want to have an on click on this. So on click equal to, and this is going to say edit image. So now whenever we click on the image, it should open it up. So now if we come back in here, and we just grab a random image from my downloads, we have our JS. If we click on it, it pops up the crop media. And then we might have to do a couple other things just to, get it to different options, I guess, so to speak. So these are kind of like the utility things. So now we can kind of get into being able to send the data back to the post. Again, right now we have this all in strings, but we need the actual file itself. So whenever I start designing this, I didn't know exactly how to do this. So now, unfortunately, I do a little bit of refactoring. So we need to go back into our store, and we're going to set up something inside the store to allow us to basically store store unserializable data. So after our reducer, we're going to say middleware, and the middleware is going to say get default middleware. It's going to say that it's deprecated, but it's fine. And then inside of here, we're going to do one of these, and here we're going to say this gets a little bit messy, but we're going to say get default middleware, and this is going to take in an object, and we're going to say serializable check. And inside of serializable check, we're going to say ignored actions, or ignore actions. No, it should be a D. Ignored actions. So what we want to ignore, so we want to ignore the /post. Actually not /post, but we want to ignore the post /update current post images. So now whenever we try to add in images that are not serializable, it should ignore that. And then we want ignored @ colon, and did I forget a comma? No, it's just being weird. And this is going to be post.current post images. So what we're going to have to do is going to refactor our slice to store the actual files themselves rather than just strings of where the file is on the local storage or local host. But Redux doesn't let us actually store unserializable data unless we do this and ignore it. So cool. And this also basically what it'll do is it'll only ignore these ones. So then we still can't store unserializable data. So it's still kind of breaking the rules, but you're at least not breaking all the rules, only in one spot. So now let's go into our post slice. So post slice, we need to make a couple of things. So now instead of a string, we're going to have a file, and then save that. And of course, this is going to break a couple things. So on our initial state, that is fine. What we need to do is now we need to go into our update current post images. So down here, this is passing in a string array. So we want to go ahead and pass that a file array and save. And now this is going to break some other things. And let me check what else is broken in here. Nope, that's good. So now let's go ahead and we're going to go and start kind of going down the list of things to refactor. So next we want to go ahead and refactor the feed post creator utils. I know there's issues in here. We'll fix them. But this is the next in line. So go into our feed utils. And now instead of an image string, this is going to take in a file array. And now instead of saying image right here, what we're going to do is we're going to say const URL is equal to window, maybe if I could type window.url, I believe, and then we're going to say create object URL. We're going to pass in that image because it's a file. And now we're going to go ahead and pass the URL. And this is also valid because we can only have one of those. So that's good to go. Next, we're going to do something very similar here. So this is not going to work because JSON.parse is a serializer, I guess you could say. So now we're going to have to say that string reverse is a file array instead of a string array. And this is going to equal to, and there's this thing called structured clone, which will clone an array. And we're going to clone the image array, and then we can go ahead and reverse it just fine. And now we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to say const URL. We're going to throw that in here, and we're going to copy our URL here and here. And then finally, our last one, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our URL again. Well, I don't want the semicolon. We're going to copy this. We're going to paste it in here, and this is going to be images 0. And that should fix that issue. Now let's continue. So now this is kind of broken because it's kind of expecting a string, and we also need a way to more or less fix this, make it so that we can remove images and whatnot. So back in our feed creator image, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to update our props, and now this is going to have a name string. And I know this is going to break a couple things, including the util. So I guess I should have done this in a different order. Whoopsies. Fine, we'll fix it. So now what we can do in here, name will equal to, and the name on this one is going to be image. And let me go back. Whoops, I lost it. So image.name, and we'll do the same thing here and copy this one and paste the name in there. And then this one, name will equal to images zero dot name. There you go. So now it has a name. So now inside of our image, obviously this is broken because we need to dispatch an array of files, not an array of string. So we're going to go ahead and first off, this obviously will not work because we need the files. So we're gonna have to go ahead and rewrite this remove image. And it looks like there is something up with this. So we're also gonna add react.mouse event, and this is an HTML div element. So we're gonna update this. We're gonna go ahead and say e.stop propagation, and we're going to just go ahead and say a file array, and since we're not directly modifying the array, we can say state dot current post images. And now what we're going to go and do is we will say image array copy is equal to image array copy image, and now it's going to say image dot name is not equal to name because we need some different way to actually, and we need to pass name in here. All right, so if they're not the same image, we'll go ahead and return them, and then we'll go ahead and dispatch this as well. And I believe that should be fine. The only thing that might be a problem is the image, but it's still the string, so that should be fine. And of course, now we need to go ahead and update the images component. I'm not sure what's broken on this. Everything looks fine here. There is a small bug that we need to fix. It kind of like makes a stuttering effect whenever you type inside of the text box. So we're going to say const image container is equal to use memo. We're going to import that. And what we're going to do is we're going to say create image container. We're going to pass in the post state current post images, and we're going to only re-render this or recalculate this on post date current post images, so whenever the array changes. And again, this is a small problem that I found whenever I was just playing around with the application. It was basically like flickering whenever you typed into the text box because it was re-rendering the image or the component basically. So this will make sure we don't re-render this component over and over again. It will only re-render this image container whenever the actual post images change. That should, fingers crossed, be good. So we do have an error. Let's see. What did I miss? Expected a function call feed post creator image, update image URL list. This is on line 123 on feed post creator. So it looks like I might still need to do a little bit of refactoring here. So feed post creator. I might have just missed this. So feed post creator. It was on line 123. I guess we are going to have to go ahead and refactor our handle get images. I wanted to test it out first. Let's go ahead and refactor it. I'm trying to think if I want to get rid of everything or not. But what we will go and do is we're going to say const image list is equal to state.post.current post images. And then we're also going to go ahead and say set overloaded images to false. And then from here, our image selector.current and e.target.files, this part is fine. And if e.target.files.length, we're going to say plus our image list.length is greater than 4. We're going to go ahead and we will console.log too many files, set uploaded true, and all of that good stuff. Cool. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to have another if statement. We're going to say if our image list 0 question mark dot type is equal to image slash GIF. So if we already have a GIF in there and we're trying to grab another one, what we'll go ahead and do is we'll say console.log, and we're going to say only one GIF, GIF, and no other images allowed. So if we already have, because we're appending, if we already have a GIF in there, we don't want to add any more. We'll add image selector ref dot current dot value equal to nothing, and we'll also set overloaded images, to true. And we will return early. That way we don't break anything. So now what we're going to go and do is we're going to say let our file array be a file array, and file array equal to, and we're going to say dot image list. So we're going to make a new array and basically append this. Again, this is because our image list is equal to our state.post.currentPost images. And the other reason I do this is just to kind of shorten things out. So now in our file array, we're still going to check to see if e.target.files.length, and we'll go ahead and grab that specific item. So we'll say if file.type is equal to GIF, and our images is greater than let's see, and if file type is equal to image GIF, an image list is greater than or equal to this. And we'll also say or file.type or file question mark dot type is equal to image slash GIF, and our e.target.files.length is greater than 1. So if we, and let me fix this. So this is saying that if we already have images, or if we have a GIF and we have more than one, although this should be image length or image list dot length. So if we already have files inside the image list and we find a GIF, that can't be done. Or if we've already gone through this image list, or there's more than one in this image list basically, or the input list, then we can only have one GIF. So again, this will just say this, all that. And then finally, what we'll go ahead and do is we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to say if file, again, this TypeScript thing, we'll say file array.push the file. And now we're going to go ahead and copy this and dispatch our file array, and that should be good. So as long as we only have one GIF in here, everything else should be fine. And then if we have more than 4, then obviously we'll also go ahead and not add more than 4, but this also won't ruin things. Or at least it shouldn't, because we're still storing all those files. So now theoretically we should be able to see these, at least I hope. Let's see here, expected an assignment or function call, and this is on line 22 of feed post creator image. Let's go back to feed post creator image, line 22, e.stop propagation. Let's make sure we do that right. All right, refresh. Now let's go ahead and see if this is working. So if we go ahead and click on this, if we add one image, we see our image there. If we add another image, oh, that's a GIF, let's not add that. We have 2 images, we add a 3rd image, and if we add a 4th image, there we are, we got all the images, we can click them. I thought that was broken, that white line keeps getting me, get rid of that. All is well. Cool, so that is working as we expect. Whenever we add images and whatnot, it gets rid of these, so we can't click on those anymore. So now let's go ahead and set it up so that we cannot click on these once that is set up. So let's come back into our code, and what we'll do is we'll go back into our feed post creator, and we're going to set up a new function. I'll just put it above the use effect, and this is going to say const determine full is equal to a array or a arrow function that returns a boolean, and we'll do this, and we'll say if state, whoops, fine, I guess, state.post.currentPostImages.length is equal to 4, return true. That's an easy check. We'll say if state.post.currentPostImages 0 question mark, because it might not exist, image type. I don't know why it's freaking out. Let's see. State.post.currentPostImages does not exist on type file. I'll look into that in a second. Image slash GIF return true, and then otherwise return false. Okay, so what's this problem? This should work, at least it works in here. 0 question mark dot, oh, it should be type. I guess I typoed. That should be type, not image type. So that's just a small typo. So now with this determine full, we have a lot of work, or a lot of stuff here that's going to kind of be gross. So I need to find the feed post creator icon bg media. So here is that div. So here is our input, and what we want to go ahead and do is we want to say disabled is equal to, and we're going to say determine full. And it looks like we had to call the function. Okay, yeah, because you're not clicking on it, that's fine. So it'll be disabled depending on that. And then the part that's not very fun is the class name. So inside of class name, we're going to go ahead and say determine full question mark feed dash post dash creator dash icon dash pg. Otherwise, it'll be feed dash post dash creator dash icon dash bg and icon dash active. And then also the media, we need to do the color. So we're going to go ahead and say color is determine full question mark. So color from determine full question mark. If it's full, it'll be RGBA, and this is going to be 29, 29, comma 161, comma 242, comma 0.5. Otherwise, it'll be the Twitter blue 1 DA 1 F2. All right, so now that's good to go. And now we kind of have to do something similar for like GIF and whatnot, but GIF and poll will be slightly different. So GIF, we will go ahead and have class name, and let's go ahead and wrap this inside of our curly braces. So here, class name, this is going to be state.post.currentPostImages.length is greater than 0. So if we have any images, we cannot add any more GIFs. Otherwise, it'll be basically the same except icon active again. So copy this, paste this, and then this will say icon dash active. And then this one will do the same thing with this. So it's going to say state.post.currentPost.length greater than 0. Put it there. And then we're going to grab this, and I'm just going to copy the whole thing just to make our lives a little bit easier. And that one should be good. And then the same thing with poll. Poll is basically the exact same. So if we have any images in there, we can't have a poll. So we'll say class name. And then the same thing with this. So copy this, and we'll put it into, let's see, color. And paste that. Okay, I think that should do it other than the button. So the last thing with the button, we're going to say post content question mark or post content and state.post.currentPostImages.length less than 1. So we'll do that. And then disabled will be equal to this and state.post.currentPostImages.length is less than 1. So I think that should be okay. Let's go ahead and take a look. Again, I might have to do a little bit. So now you can see we can't use GIF. We need to refactor so that there's no highlighting. But if I also add a couple more images here, so let me go back to my pictures and just grab a couple of images. Now, obviously, these are disabled. We can't click on them, but they're still highlighting, so now we have to do the CSS. So let's go ahead and hop into the CSS for this. So feed post creator, and we need the feed post creator.css. In this one, we're gonna have to make a small change. I don't remember exactly where it's at, so give me one moment to find everything. So instead of having the hover on this, we want the hover on icon-active. So we're gonna say icon-active. And then we're going to get rid of -bg, save, and I think that should do it. So now, as you can see, there's no hover effect, there's no pointer effect, everything's good. The last thing that we're going to want to go and do, and I think I am going to call the episode after this because we're getting pretty long. The last thing is I want to go ahead and hide this. So up here, wherever our feed post images are, we're going to wrap this inside of curly braces. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to say state.post.currentPostImages.length is greater than 1 or greater than 0. Actually, it could be equal to, greater than, equal to 1, but whatever, it's fine. And save. And now if we come in here, obviously this is fine. If we get rid of our images, it goes back to a normal old post. So I think that's going to do it. I know that I wanted to try to get as much done here. So next episode, we are ready to actually send the post to the backend, and that's what we'll do. So if you enjoyed, I'll see you in the next one. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed, please stick around for the next episode by hitting that subscribe button. You'll know exactly when it comes out, especially with that bell icon. If you did enjoy the content today, please sure to leave a thumbs up. If you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs down. Either way, it helps out with the algorithm all the same. And finally, if you have any suggestions or feedback for me, make sure you leave a comment down below. With that being said, I appreciate you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace out, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.